Welcome to the Mountain Magnolia Show, where your hosts Mary Noble Braden and Leanne Lewis will introduce you to Swannanoa Valley's most interesting and most iconic individuals.
Hello to all you wonderful listeners out there. This is Mary Noble Braden on the Mountain Magnolia Radio Show. Thank you for listening to our show today. Our focus here is to reveal the heart and soul of our beautiful community in Western North Carolina. And wow, how we have all revealed such beauty and connection in the last several months. It has been an amazing thing to see everyone coming together. So kudos for all you listeners out there for being part of such a beautiful community. Well, I am so excited to share our guest this week. He is going to show all his gifts to us and reveal the heart and soul of our community. Welcome, Jaelin Ivory.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, we have had a lot going on here in Western North Carolina, haven't we?
Yeah, a lot. It's a chaotic time for sure, but a beautiful time as well.
It has been. Well, before we introduce what you do here in the community, I do want to do something. We usually pull cards, and they're called manifestation cards. And so basically it's a quote that we share with the community. So
sure,
you pick whatever.
I've got a feeling I'm going to follow the feeling.
That might not.
Huh?
Is that a card or is that a?
Is it instructions? Did I pick the one card that wasn't a card?
Yeah, you got a feeling.
That's my life for you. Cool. Want me to read it?
Yeah.
Cool. Life can lose its vibrant aura and charm if we do not bend the energy of our minds towards positive engagement and appreciation.
Wow.
Yeah, I like
great.
that. That's great.
It's kind of like contrast, we have to we're not all like each other.
Yeah. And I think it speaks to intentionality too. Like it's our choice to take that action of bending the energy of our minds towards positive engagement. Gratitude is an effort. Like we have to make that effort.
It's true. Well, on that note, I want you to tell the audience about you and about how you got here to Western North Carolina.
Oh man, where do we start? How much time do you have? So I ended up here kind of haphazardly. I'd been coming here for years. I've always been fascinated with this place. I grew up in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, so just 4 or 5 hours southeast of here, near Charleston, kind of in between Charleston and Myrtle Beach.
Lovely area.
Yeah, both geographically and also culturally. It's a weird mix of the Southern belle charm of Charleston and dirty Myrtle. So that's Pawleys Island in a nutshell. And I grew up there, so I've been coming here for years. And when I was 18, I started traveling full time. I took a gap year, spent some time abroad, spent some time in Costa Rica, backpacking through Europe, did the whole kind of gap year loop, and ended up in Washington to go to school for environmental science. Did that for about 2 years, realized that I had some entrepreneurial things that I needed to scratch and try to get after, as well as some personal stuff. So kind of took another hiatus for self-care reasons and also to see what I was capable of. And I never ended up going back. Traveled for about 8 or so years full-time in various tiny homes that I was building and surfing my way across the country, up and down the West Coast. Slowly made my way over to Texas because I wanted to see what was up with the waves over there in the kind of Gulf area. And made it halfway across the country back home. So I was like, let me go see what's up. I ran away for a sufficient amount of time. So came back out to South Carolina, realized that I didn't really want to be on the West Coast anymore, realized that I did love, the Carolinas so much, and that I'd kind of immaturely run away from it as a kid, and that I wanted to be back out here, that I love this place, that I love the people out here so much. There was so much missing in the heart and soul on the West Coast. I think that people are a little bit removed. There's too many people almost, and out here it just gave me something that I was missing. So I realized I wanted to be back on the East Coast, but it couldn't be Pawleys. It couldn't be on the beach. So I started visiting here again. And I had this whole situation where my dog died about 1.5 years ago, and I came out here as this place of refuge, and I was like, oh wow, in this moment of vulnerability and kind of having my heart broken, this place held me so well, and I was like, oh okay, this is something that's really good for me right here. Maybe I should stick around. So that's
beautiful. I love it. So we've got surfer, builder, um, entrepreneur, health coach. There's a lot in there.
Yeah. I've had a very strange life, like just really trying to go after wherever curiosity has led me. And I think that that's kind of been what my journey for my own health has been, is really just allowing myself the freedom to figure out who I am and who I'm not. So, I was a carpenter at one point, and that was a really beautiful part of my life where I got a lot out of that experience and learning how to build stuff, learning how to work with my hands and really produce something and to be kind of self-sufficient in that way. But I realized that I don't want to be on a construction team. Like, it's not my thing. So I took that little skill and I still carry it. And, I went on to build tiny homes and use that skill to kind of like get around the world a little bit. And yeah, we ended up with this smorgasbord of things that is me.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, so let's dive in a little bit and tell the audience what your gifts are here, what you're focusing on today.
Yeah, so primarily I'm a holistic health coach, but I'm a health coach in a weird way in that I never really set out to be a health coach in the traditional sense. Like, I was never like, I'm going to be a health coach because that sounds fun or something that I aspired to do. I'm a life coach as well, and that is even more cringy for me. I was kind of averse to both of these things because they had seemed what I was presented with, growing up, the kind of conceptions that I had of that were that they were just very contrived, very unrelatable. It was this luxurious thing that was for people who could afford to do so. Me being a struggling 17, 18, 19-year-old, the idea of having a life coach or a health coach was never anything that seemed at all relatable to me at all, like whatsoever. And I mean, so I ended up going through this whole health journey with myself out of desperation. I needed to figure out some stuff with my health, both mentally and physically. And I was homeschooled when I was younger, so I had this sort of arrogance about me that I could teach myself whatever I needed to learn. So I went really deep into researching stuff specifically about like nutrition and mindfulness. Those were kind of the two areas that I really dove in, the two levers that I pulled on to help myself. And I was able to really dramatically change my life. I was going down a very, very dark and like lonely, continuously self-isolating path. And I was able to change my life very dramatically over a couple of years. And it got to the point where the people around me noticed that I changed my life, and I started to help them change their lives because they were asking me like, what happened? Like, how'd you clear up your skin? Like, why you got in really good shape all of a sudden? What's going on? So I started to just kind of help my friends, and it got to the point where I was helping and like speaking with so many people that I had to start making appointments and like organizing my day around who I was going to go talk to. So I was like, you're pretty much being a health coach, dude. So you should maybe just not complain about it from the sidelines and actually do something about it. If you think that the model that's being presented is unrelatable, which I also found with like a lot of therapeutic models as well, then maybe you could be the person to be the guy that you wish that you had when you were 17, 18, 19, 20. So
yeah, and lifting people up like you're doing, it's rewarding. And if you've been there before in a place where you needed to make a change, which you were, it feels easier to guide folks, wouldn't you say?
yeah, and I think that that's maybe the disconnect that I kind of detected before, like my BS meter was going off, is that people do this thing because it's trendy to be a health coach or it looks cool or whatever, but I think that you have a unique capacity. Everybody does, not just health coaches, but everybody has a capacity to help people that are in the position that they were once in. So I think that having that level of humility and vulnerability behind, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm saying that I went through some particularly difficult challenges and I made my way through those things, and I have context that I can share with you. I can help you contextualize your circumstances and maybe just be there for you. And, when you're like, oh my God, my life is ending, everything's falling around, you're like, no, this is actually the path. This is the mountain that you need to be climbing.
Your heart is breaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I kind of stay away from the term health coach. I really am more of a Sherpa. I come on the hike with people. I know the terrain a little bit. I've been there, but I'm not there to help anybody directly. I'm there to help them help themselves, sort of. I can't change anybody's lives for them. I just
support.
am there. Exactly. Just to be there. So that's primarily what I do. That's kind of at the core of the many ventures that I have. So I'm also a health writer and health researcher for a company called Aries Tech. I have a few different brands that I create content for in the health and wellness space, and I also have formed recently a kind of a multimedia collective called Collected, in which we've been filming some documentaries around here, trying to help spread awareness about the disaster and really just showing the world the reality that we felt wasn't really being told about the reality of the storm here, and just giving people a chance to tell their stories. So now we've kind of ventured into media a little bit more, and there's some other media stuff. I was a podcaster at one point, but that's pretty much it.
Well, you've got your hands in all types of things, and I will say Jaelin is an old soul. Like, he's way beyond his time. I was able to spend a little time with him last week, and just what you already have accomplished at the age of, is it okay?
Yeah, let him know.
At the age of 27. I mean, I'm 49, and I feel like I'm like you might be a little ahead of me.
I'm 27 going on 90. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm on an old man kind of trajectory.
I love that. I love that. When we were talking the other day, you said something about the coaching and where it's really important, or I think you said something about Cope, and part of your program is for folks to figure out, like, how they have fun, like what moves them, and that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I think that for me, like, the reason that people started paying attention to what I was doing was because when I was 18, like I said, I started traveling a lot, and it was never so much that people cared just specifically that I got healthier. It was that they saw me change my life in totality, and I think that there's this interesting relationship between your capacity to do the things that you want to do and actually doing them. So, like, I think that's health, and your ability to be healthy is your ability to express yourself and to go out and explore. So for me, that was kind of the missing link that I had, where, I didn't necessarily want to get healthy for the sake of being healthy. I wanted to get healthy because I was a frustrated young man who couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. And I knew that I had more potential in me than I was really capitalizing on. So once I did realize, oh, okay, this isn't an external problem, this is an internal problem. And if I start taking care of the internal, then I can actually have more fun. I can actually enjoy life. I can play more when I'm not depressed and anxious, or at least if I've done something to kind of integrate that anxiety properly, where I understand that, whatever's going on in my mind or emotionally is not the entirety of who I am, finding a way to kind of justify and like rectify all these different domains, which is like physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Once I started actually understanding that you can't treat these things in a silo, and that once all these things are in harmony together, then the fruition of who you actually have the capacity to be starts to come out. And then you start doing cool stuff. Then you start, maybe making art or creating something that means something to you, or you go after that job that you want, you ask that girl out, whatever it is that you do. I think everything kind of comes from the internal out into the external. But so many of us are focused only on what we want to do, but not how we get there or why we want to do those things in the first place.
Yeah, true. I think also once you get to that place, you have little light bulbs that go off in your head, and if you listen to them, it guides you into the things you do want, because some people don't know what they want.
Yeah, I think that people are kind of confused. They have like these like little hints maybe, or these little pulls, but social media completely confuses us on what we actually want. But I think what people do know is what they need to be doing that they're not doing, which is usually some aspect of taking care of yourself. And I think if you just start there, the path is revealed.
True. Yeah, it is. Do you want to dive in a little bit more? Let's say somebody calls you for wants to hire you as a health coach. Mm-hmm. Can you explain in depth how that would go?
Yeah. So my job, and I'm really trying to correct for the things that I found missing when I was in therapy. I went through, when I was, I think, 15 through 17, I probably burned through like 10 different therapists, because a few of them couldn't deal with me, and I also couldn't deal with them. And I think that there's so much beauty in that model, and there's so many great people out there who are helping people, but there's also a lot of flaws in that. And I think that really your job is, as a guide, to listen and to kind of get out of the way and to ask probing questions that allow people to kind of reveal to themselves where they're at, and then you highlight it for them, and then you work together to figure it out. And it has to be rooted in that eventual goal of practical and pragmatic action forward. Like, how do we kind of, what is the function of the thing that is being presented to us, and how do we find our way out? So my job is to just talk with them and kind of remove my inclination to be like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. I have all those. I have all these kind of mechanistic nutrition things and fitness things and mindfulness practices that one should do. But as I've, done this, I've been doing it now for about 5 years full time, I've learned to kind of get out of the way a little bit more and ask questions and kind of try to ask questions in a way that reveals to people what they know that they need to be doing that they're ignoring. And that's actually the link that's missing so often, is that people have a disconnect with themselves. They have an intuition that's telling them, you need to do this thing, but they just don't do it. And that creates distrust, disharmony, and a fracturing within the self. So that's my kind of initial goal, is to find out, where do you know that you need to be showing up, that you're not showing up? And what do we do about that? How can we break that down into a super achievable goal? Like, you can come to me because you're depressed, or you want to lose weight, or you have, a diagnosis of like Graves' disease, for instance, which is becoming incredibly common. My job is to be like, okay, what's around you right now that you know that you need to do that's just blaringly obvious, but you just don't do it? Like cleaning your room, something as simple as that. Or that you're on your phone until 3 o'clock in the morning every night, and then you have to get to work at 7. Like, that you're kind of messing yourself up. So if we can just find the low-hanging fruit and start to address that, then we'll work in that thing into whatever it is that's, maybe a little bit less obvious to somebody. Like the fact that if you're dealing with anxiety and depression and you're not, eating properly, you're not getting enough calories, or you're overweight or something like that, or underweight, then we need to get you to a place of harmony in your body so that you can start to have harmony in your mind. And that's kind of what I was looking for, that was lacking, I guess, in therapy. It was like, you can go and, talk about anxiety, depression, ADHD, bipolar disorder, multiple personality disorder, any of that. But if we're not talking about how much you're sleeping or what your nutrition is looking like, then we're missing a piece of the puzzle. On the opposite end, you can go to a personal trainer or a nutritionist, and they can talk to you about your diet and calorie restriction or calorie surplus and getting the right protein and macronutrients and supplements. But if we're not talking about the narratives that you're holding in your mind and in your heart, we're going to be missing a part of the picture. So my job is to just try to find the bridges that have been kind of dilapidated.
And a holistic approach, as well as a loving, lifting people up, because sometimes that's what folks need if they don't know what direction. And that's what I'm seeing just from the outside is and from somebody that has definitely been on a health journey for the last 2 or 3 years and changed things about the way I do things, the way I react, the way I'm stressed out. I mean, I came to a place where, okay, I can't live like this anymore. And it's so important to have someone who can support you and lift you up and be like, hey, you got this.
Yeah. I think it's so rare that people have somebody that genuinely believes in them and gives them like permission to try to figure it out. And I think that's kind of the issue of modern society and modern medicine, is that we pathologize everything into an issue. And you have a problem because I need to give you this drug. So you just have this problem because it's a convenient label. And really what people need is to be like, you're okay and you're going to figure this out.
That's so true. So true. Well, is there anything else you want to share with the audience? We just talked about Cope and how you are a wonderful life coach, also health coach. Is there any other thing you'd like to share with the audience about what direction you're going here in Western North Carolina?
So as I've, kind of settled into the coaching thing enough, my focus has been into really trying to figure out how I can move society and culture and inspire on a bigger scale, sort of. So we've been moving really heavily into media. I was a podcaster at one point, had a podcast that was health and wellness and SHIT, and that was a really great thing that we did for a few years. We had a bit of a falling out, took it offline, so now I'm making this new attempt at podcasting called Cope that is being released as we speak, and then we also have collected multimedia, so we're telling these stories around Swannanoa, but from Swannanoa and Black Mountain outward. So what makes Western North Carolina, and we're really just trying to get together other people who relate to where I was before, which is being this kind of listless, aimless kid, and finding people who understand that they want to do more in life, and what do they need in order to do that is really community and health and community are very intimately related. I think that a big part of mental health that people don't realize is that it's kind of a misnomer. Mental health isn't in your head. It's your relationship to the world around you. So there is an internal part, but it's also your relationship to that around you. So what I'm doing is I'm creating basically a team and a network and a collective of like-minded individuals where we can start to tell stories and really start to give our generation and the generations above and below us something to relate to that is intrinsically rooted in health.
I love that. And you know what's so positive? The things that we think on a daily basis is a lot of what we portray. And so that's what I'm hearing you say also is teaching people to perceive that this world is wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Just a bit of hope, and I think that we do that through stories.
It's true. It's true. I can't wait to see what comes about with what's ahead in your documentary and your social media. So, well, one question that we ask the audience is if there's something you could share that you do on a daily, monthly, or yearly basis that makes your life better, what would that be?
I would probably have to say write. Yeah, I don't think that people spend enough time organizing their thoughts. I think that people kind of just allow it to consume them, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes on the sideline, and it robs them of so much energy. And I think that everybody has the capacity to heal fundamentally, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, spiritually as well. And I think that that's such a powerful tool and exercise for people to do, just because it's so far removed from what we actually do on a day-to-day basis, which is to actually face ourselves. I think that that's usually what people are missing, is that they don't actually sit with themselves and figure out what's going on. What am I feeling? Why do I feel that? What can I do about that?
Yeah. Wise beyond your years, like I said.
Thank you. I've had to figure it out. Is that or spiral out of control at a young age? So
yeah. Well, oh my gosh, I have enjoyed connecting with you today on the Mountain Magnolia Show. And I want to have you back, especially when things really get rolling with this whole Appalachia interview. So, well, all right. This is Mary Noble Braden at the Mountain Magnolia Show. I just want to remind you guys that you can check us out on Spotify and Apple, as well as on the Mountain Magnolia Facebook page. And we want to shout out for 96.1 for being a grassroots radio station here in Western North Carolina. Jaelin, thank you again for coming on. And we'll be able to play this on Spotify, and he's recording as well, so it might be other places as well.
Yeah, it'll probably be other places. If anybody wants to follow up with me, you can check me out on Instagram at JAELIN.IVORY. And if you want to check out that documentary we put out, it was people of Swannanoa, Hurricane Helene Aftermath on Collected on YouTube. And yeah, you can find me there. Find me on Instagram if you want to reach out. If anybody wants to talk, if any of this stuff has resonated with you, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to, if you mention the show, give anybody a 10-minute free consultation just to talk about life.
Yay, that's great.
Just to see what it's like.
Perfect. All right, guys, have a beautiful day. Until next time, this is Mary Noble Braden at the Mountain Magnolia Show.
Thank you for joining us for Mountain Magnolias with your hosts, Mary Noble Braden and Leanne Lewis. Join us next time for more interesting stories from the Swannanoa's most interesting people as we give you something to talk about. Mountain Magnolias is a production of Noble & Company Realty in Black Mountain. For more information, please call them at 828-357-5243. 828-357-5243.
The preceding has been a production of Signal Hill Studios. For more information, please call 704-872-0550.